From the beautiful city of Los Angeles, California, we bring you the Gimme 3 podcast. Hello and welcome, cinephiles, cinema lovers, and movie appreciators to the Gimme 3 podcast, the podcast where we pick 3 films connected by one theme. I'm Nicholas Ibarra. I'm joined as always by my very mysterious co-host, Bella F. Stratus. Bella, what is cooking today?
Hello, everyone. Very mysterious. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
We have a mysterious episode, mysterious co-hosts, mysterious guest.
Yeah, we are joined by somebody our listeners are very familiar with. Gimme 3 producer, LADFF director, and my wife, Sonja's Movie Minute's very own Sonja Mereu, our resident Mission Impossible expert.
Yeah, your resident and new Mission Impossible expert, being that I just watched all the movies like in the last 2 months.
Yeah, right.
The newest fan.
The newest fan. It's we are celebrating the release of Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. We are reviewing what we believe to be the 3 best Mission Impossible films. And Sonja did quite the Mission Impossible herself over the last few months because she watched all the Mission Impossible films, some of them more than once. I'd say all but one of you saw them on the big screen during this, 6-week span, Sonja?
Yeah, I think it's been about 2 months. Yeah, I work at Paramount, and because Mission Impossible is a Paramount joint, Paramount and Skydance joint, they played all of the movies in our theater, our gorgeous theater on the Paramount lot. So I accepted the mission and went to see all of them in the theater. I'm seeing the Final Reckoning tomorrow at our theater at Paramount. I did see it already last night at the Chinese. Yeah, the one I didn't get to see was Rogue Nation. I had to watch that at home because Nick and I went to see My Dinner with Andre instead, which was a very different kind of film.
About as different a movie from Mission Impossible as you can get.
Yeah.
But just as good, if not better. But we're talking Mission Impossibles today. And Sonja, what was your experience watching all these on the big screen?
Well, I mean, like I said, I'm the newest, biggest fan. I loved the whole experience. It was extremely fun. I also got to bring a lot of guests. So I've had friends with me at every screening, including Nick at some of them. Yeah, it was fun to just kind of fully dive into the world of Ethan Hunt and the IMF. You know, I've always been kind of a Cruise fan, but now I'm like all in. I've watched 11 Tom Cruise movies this year on Letterboxd, or according to my Letterboxd.
Oh my God. A record.
I mean, or I guess it would be 12 because that was before I watched the one last night. So 8 Mission Impossibles and 4 others.
I love it.
So yeah, I'm all in.
Sonja is on cruise control right now.
Yes, I am. He is in control. But yeah, it was amazing. Seeing them in the theater is absolutely the way to go. Like I watched I watched Rogue Nation at home, and Nick was like, "How was it?" And I was like, "It didn't really have any stunts." And then I was like, "Oh wait, except for that crazy motorcycle chase and that thing underwater and the other stuff." And then I was like, "Oh, it just doesn't hit the same at home."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, here we go. We're going to talk about Mission Impossible franchise. Some quick background on the franchise, which, of course, every franchise just starts out as a movie. You know, a singular movie, a singular piece of art. And in this case, it was based off of the Mission Impossible television series from the 1960s, which lasted 7 seasons. I think it made a brief comeback in the 80s as well for just like a couple seasons. But after the success of the 1996 Mission Impossible film, we got the second, which was not as well received. I find it wildly entertaining, but the film still made money. And essentially what we have is 3 decades of Mission Impossible films. This last one, Final Reckoning, is the 8th, correct? 8th
Yeah,
film.
correct.
So
Yeah, 8th film.
over those 3 decades, the stunts have gotten bigger, the stakes have gotten bigger, the budgets have gotten bigger, and they have hooked generations of audiences around the globe. So let's just dive right in here. What do we got? We've got Mission Impossible. Bella is going to start us off with the OG.
Good morning, Mr. Phelps. This is your mission should you choose to accept it. Should you or any member of your IM force be caught or killed, the Secretary will disavow all knowledge of your actions. Ethan Hunt will be your point man, as usual. Good luck, Jim.
Yes, the movie that started it all in 1996, directed by Brian De Palma. We find ourselves in a world of shadowy alliances and shifting loyalties where nothing and no one is quite what they seem. Tom Cruise stars as Ethan Hunt, a top agent for the IMF, the Impossible Mission Force, whose latest assignment in Prague ends in catastrophe. When his entire team is ambushed and killed, Ethan finds himself the lone survivor and the prime suspect in a deadly mole hunt within the agency.
This whole operation was a mole hunt. This whole operation was a mole hunt.
Yeah. The mole's deep inside. And like you said, you survived.
Framed and disavowed, Ethan goes undercover to clear his name, uncover the real traitor, and recover a list of undercover agents before it falls into the wrong hands. Along the way, he recruits a pair of disavowed operatives, including the enigmatic hacker Luther Stickwell, played by Ving Rhames, and helicopter pilot Franz Krieger, played by Jean Reno? Sorry, I may have pronounced that.
Jean Reno?
Jean Reno, thank you. Together, the trio navigates a maze of deception that leads them all the way to the heart of the CIA. Per usual, Tom Cruise led the charge in the making of this film. You know, he was a huge fan of the Mission Impossible TV series, which I actually did not know about before this. And after meeting De Palma, he knew he'd found the man to direct this movie. And together they brought in screenwriters Steve Zaillian, David Kopp, and the brilliant Robert Towne. Together they created a movie that it doesn't just deliver, you know, like espionage thrills, but it really redefines them for this kind of new generation. And this movie is tense, it's creative, it's smart, it's about precision, paranoia, and of course, pulling off the impossible. Without further ado, what did you guys think of Mission Impossible?
I mean, it's crazy to think that this was almost 30 years ago, and to think how big of a star Tom Cruise has been for so long. It was crazy for me to remember how long he's been a star and how big of a star he has been for basically my entire life. Because I remember seeing this in the theater and he was already like at the top of his game then.
Mm-hmm,
and somehow is seemingly still at the top of his game 30 years later. I think it's so much fun. I mean, as we'll talk about later, the movies really grow in their scope on all levels in terms of globetrotting, in terms of the number of, you know, agents, obviously the size of the stunts. You know, this is like a special and gripping classic film at this point.
For me, this kind of reemphasizes what Sonja was talking about earlier about like seeing these movies on the big screen if you can, because I actually tried to watch this movie multiple times at home over the course of like the last 20 years. And I'm a Brian De Palma fan. I love a good action movie. And I just never made it through this. Like all Mission Impossible movies, there's always like a couple of sections where there's like, a huge amount of exposition and backstory and like reasoning that has to get explained. It's just kind of like the nature of like what these films are. And inevitably during those scenes, my mind starts to wander. So ultimately, I never finished the film until seeing it recently on the big screen, and it really changed my perspective on it. And I loved it. And and having now watched most of them, it is kind of like, I think one of my favorites, just because it has a little bit more style, with De Palma at the helm, and kind of unbeknownst that it would become the epic franchise that it would become. I think there's just like a little bit more style in this first installment. The filmmakers weren't like a slave to the action.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a sense of, sometimes in the later films, the stunts are so wild and so massive and so impressive that you have to photograph them with this like big scope that is so massive. And, like the editing is so fast, and it's like 17 shots of Tom Cruise walking, but this one's just a little bit more methodical, and it just has like a little bit more aura of cool. There's just like, these characters are cool, and it's shot very cool. It just oozes coolness.
I agree.
There's a scene where Ethan Hunt is meeting with Kittredge, who's the head of the IMF, in this restaurant that's like the walls are aquariums. It's a classic scene, and they're all being shot from these like low angle close-ups.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's so many moments that are like that in this movie that you kind of lose in the later films, where it's all about size.
Mm-hmm.
And like seeing as many things as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Totally. Yeah, that's a good point. We definitely lose that. I mean, those close-ups are so intense and so memorable and so affecting too. Yeah, I loved this. I actually am also new to the Mission Impossible franchise. I'd never seen any of them, so this was quite the experience. Yeah, I was shocked. Like, I felt like this was so much more fun and campy even, and like exciting than I expected. I was honestly prepared for like kind of a boring Michael Bay action type movie with Tom Cruise just like getting off on himself a little bit, but this was great. It you can tell it really is the blueprint for the best action movies and franchises that followed. And I was just in it. That opening scene when they're on the plane, the flight attendant brings the I think it's Kittredge, or no, I can't think of his name. It's
John Voight's character.
Yes. They bring him his mission through like a movie, like an in-flight movie.
Yeah.
And when it self-destructs, the camera kind of lingers on him lighting a cigarette, and then it pulls out and you realize he's doing that because the disc is like smoking. And it was that moment that I was like, okay, these movies know what they're doing. They're giving me intelligence and wit and fun, and like all in just this one little action that I think just perfectly sets up everything that follows it. And then of course, like the title sequence, that also had me fully locked in. I mean, incredible. One of my favorites now. I love that it's kind of like a sneak peek into the rest of the movie. It just really builds the excitement and the intrigue. So yeah, I loved this first movie, and brilliant direction. Like every step of this movie just draws me deeper into it. And plot twist after plot twist as well.
John Voight's character, Jim Phelps, is actually the only character that kind of is a stayover from the television series. That character exists in the television series, and that introduction where they, the way that they deliver the mission, and your mission should you choose to accept it, which is how all the movies kind of start. That is essentially how every episode of the Mission Impossible television series would begin, and would always begin with that self-destructing tape and the cool title sequence. Which would like shows like some preview of like what the movie's going to be. That's what the show would do. It'd be like, oh, here's what's coming up on today's episode. So
that's awesome.
It's that's kind of cool. And that's kind of where the connections between the TV show and the films end. It's just like those things. But for fans of the TV show who came to see this first movie, they were like, "Oh, this is cool."
It's like a nice tribute while still being its own thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And I like how the movies are always a little campy. And I think that the intro title sequence kind of like tells you that it's going to be like that. Like that they don't necessarily take themselves that seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Although I was thinking about it, like at this time, Pierce Brosnan was playing James Bond. And I think those movies are actually maybe like kind of more campy than this Mission Impossible was. I mean, it's Tom Cruise's own Bond franchise.
Basically.
I mean, not like literally. It's the Hunt franchise.
Yeah.
And this movie of all of them is the most Bond-like, you know, with the mole hunt. And it's like, you know, the later movies are dealing with such grander villains, you know, like nuclear warfare and these kind of huge things. But this is like a very personal mission for the people in the IMF because it's, you know, it's their lives and their identities that are at stake.
Right.
I mean, Ethan's parents are even in danger because they're getting framed for, I don't know, embezzlement or stealing money or something, which is the only time that his family is ever referenced in any of the movies.
Right. Yeah.
This movie does something really cool that it actually does a couple other times in the series too, which is in the first act, you have Emilio Estevez, one of my favorite actors. And you're just like, oh, right. Fuck yeah. Emilio Estevez is in this movie. And then in the first act, bam, he's dead. And you're just like, oh my God, total shocker, you know? And you can imagine for the 90s audience going to see this, they're like, right on, Emilio. I love that guy. Boom, dead. So yeah, they do that a couple other times in this series. Like I think Carrie Russell, right, is in like the first in Mission Impossible 3, and then they kill her immediately. Spoiler, but
oh yeah, I mean, should we tell people that there's going to be spoilers throughout this?
We'll be spoiling all of them.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's just like a great way to like let you know the stakes are going to be high in this, guys. No A-list actor is safe. Yeah. Anybody can perish.
In very creative ways, might I add.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that elevator death, dying by going up was great. I didn't see it coming. I was like, that is not what I expected. It was brutal. Oh, brutal.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's pretty graphic.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, neither was I.
It was another thing that really locked me in. And of course, like I love the concept of like disavowed agents. Like as soon as he was undercover and recruiting others, that was another point where I was like, let's go. This is exactly what I wanted. That just like the disavowed rogue agent is just such a gripping narrative. Like you can't not love it. It's another reason I love the John Wick movies. I know we're not talking about that, but that's like the only other action franchise I really love. So I have to compare them.
Yeah, well, you know, Ethan gets disavowed every movie pretty much.
Yeah, I know. He's like always disavowed. I'm like, yeah, dang. How many times does this guy have to prove his worth?
Oh, I know. How many times is he gonna go back? Like...
Right.
Yeah, I know. He's just addicted to excitement and intrigue.
We must talk about the legendary, probably still to this day, the most iconic scene in the Mission Impossible franchise, which is the legendary wire heist scene where Tom Cruise and the gang have to break into a super high security, essentially like vacuum sealed room with like one computer in it. And if the room senses a rise in temperature of above, like, 73 degrees, the alarm goes off. If anything touches the floor, including a bead of sweat, the alarm is going to go off. So they have to lower Ethan Hunt down from the ceiling on these wires. And he has to not make a sound. Oh, yeah, if the sounds go above a certain decibels, they're going to trip the wire. And it's just like this incredibly tense brilliantly executed scene that is so gripping and so memorable, both visually and audibly. But that scene rips.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's breaking into the room is at Langley, the like CIA headquarters, right? So he's breaking into his own turf.
Simple game. 4 players. Exfil opens the pocket. CyberOps lifts the wall.
Bank.
IMF mainframe.
Where exactly is it?
In Langley.
In Langley? The one in Virginia, Langley.
Inside CIA headquarters at Langley. Is he serious?
Always.
If we're going to Virginia, why don't we drop by Fort Knox? I can fly a helicopter right in through the lobby and set it down inside the vault. And it would be a hell of a lot easier than breaking into the goddamn CIA.
Yeah, I was having deja vu from watching Paddington last week when Nicole Kidman does the drop. It's like a reenactment.
Right. His ex-wife.
Right.
Who does it better, Tom?
Yeah.
Tom.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I couldn't stop thinking about like the ab work and strength that was going into that scene when he's like hovering centimeters above the floor. I mean, it's just, and I love that the camera just hangs on it. Like it just forces you to watch every second of it.
Yeah.
And feel the tension and the sweat and the strain. And yeah, it's amazing. It's obviously just one of the most iconic movie scenes to date.
Yeah, there was actually a Spectrum TV truck on our block the other day, and it had a picture of a television on the side of the truck, and on the television screen was a shot from that scene of Mission Impossible.
Wow. Yep.
And I was just like, yeah, it's that iconic.
Right.
They want to rep their entire company with it. They didn't make it. And the room is so cool. Like it's very 2001 kind of vibe, like just pure white, so high tech, or at least for its time. I think they do use like a floppy disk or whatever.
Right.
The thing.
And like a 200-pound computer.
Yeah. Yeah. The tech definitely improves over the series with the times. But yeah, and how like it's so silent in the room.
The lack of music and the lack of sound design really add to the pressure and the tension building,
which is such a dramatic shift from the rest of the film, because we've got a wicked score from Danny Elfman, I think, and it just carries you through the movie. So when you hit that wall of silence, it's like, all right, we're not fucking around anymore, guys. Like, everyone shut up.
Yeah.
Well, and like Jean Reno, if that is how you say his name, is holding Ethan up. Like it's not a machine or a device that's suspending him. It's this guy in an air conditioning duct holding him up. But you also don't know if this guy is like totally trustworthy, because he is also a disavowed agent. So you're like, what's his story? Why was he disavowed? And he's like seemed a bit shady throughout the film. So you're like, well, what is he going to do? Is he going to screw him over in the last minute? And then there's like the mouse starts coming into the air conditioning duct, and you're like, what's going to happen? He's like so scared of the mouse. And then they cut away and cut back, and the mouse is dead. You're like, this guy is tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the poor guy who actually works in the room, Dunlow, is given some kind of diuretic by one of the other IMF agents that's working with them, John Voight's wife. I forget her name. But so like we could keep cutting to him like just having diarrhea and like puking in a trash can in the bathroom. Just for some comedic relief throughout all of it.
You need it.
Yeah.
And that's where you get the relatability, the relatability of it, because we've all been there before.
Yeah.
At work.
He's just trying to do his job.
Yeah, fantastic scene. Sonja, I believe you have a little prize for us. Is it 3 pieces of trivia here for Mission Impossible OG?
I do. Although I wanted to just give love to, Ving Rhames, I guess we'll give him love throughout, but he isn't really in Ghost Protocol very much. So I just wanted to say that I remember seeing Ving Rhames in this movie, and I'd only seen him in Pulp Fiction besides this. So that was like such a great casting choice, like such an unexpected casting choice on their part. They even said, they're like, what do you not picture a hacker to look like?
Right.
Ving Rhames.
Right.
But he's the greatest hacker in the world, and you 100% believe it. And their chemistry and relationship just grows throughout the series and is, kind of the love story of Mission Impossible, I would say. One of them.
And when you talk about that aura of cool, it doesn't get cooler than Ving Rhames.
Right.
Yeah, one of my favorite characters in this by far.
Yeah, like you really only get worried if he's worried.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then I also, Vanessa Redgrave is in this movie as the person who's trying to buy the knock list of the agents.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think like the series has really top tier cast, which again, we'll talk about, but having like Brian De Palma direct this film and John Voight and Vanessa Redgrave in the cast, and also Kristen Scott Thomas, who dies really early, like they were like, this is a high end movie. Like this is silly and it's fun, but like respect us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have some of the greatest actors of their generation in this film as well.
That's
So I think it balances out really well.
Yeah, for sure.
With no further ado, I will give you 3 pieces of Mission Impossible 1 trivia. All right. So while filming the famous scene where Tom Cruise drops from the ceiling and hovers inches above the ground, the one we just spoke about, Tom Cruise's head kept hitting the floor.
Ouch.
Jeez.
His head's heavier than his feet. Go figure.
Shocker.
So until he got the idea to put coins in his shoes for balance. So he had to like balance out his weight.
Wow.
Did he really get the idea or did someone else? I don't know, but he's credited with it.
It was probably the third grip that got the idea.
Definitely.
But makes sense. Because yes, I guess your upper body is a bit heavier than your legs, probably. Our second piece of trivia: not only is this the only film in the franchise where Ethan Hunt doesn't fire a gun, it's the only one to not have any shootouts or gunfights.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I did not realize that,
I
but
didn't realize. Yeah,
when I rewatch it, it's true.
That's why I don't like the John Wick series, because it is only gunfights. I find that rather boring.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of only gunfights. I think that's why Bella and I loved Monkey Man, or at least in part.
Yes.
It's like the fighting was so creative, like the things he would use as weapons and stuff.
Yes.
And we get that in these too, but
yeah,
there are certainly a lot of guns later in the franchise. And our third trivia: this is the last motion picture from a major studio to be released for home video on Betamax.
No way.
That is how old it is.
Wow.
Wowee.
I never even watched Betamax.
I was going to say, Bella doesn't know what the fuck Betamax is.
I'm like, whoa.
But was it released on Laserdisc?
I'm sure it was. Probably.
So that is your 3 pieces of Mission Impossible 1 trivia.
I love it.
When I used to work for Lawrence Bender, producer Lawrence Bender, he had a massive Laserdisc collection in his home. He probably, considering that Laserdisc wasn't around for that long, he probably had every Laserdisc ever made. Because like he had like an entire shelf full of Laserdisc. And I was like, holy hell. He's like, you want to watch one? I'd be like, yes, but I think I'm going to get in trouble if I do anyways.
I wonder if he still has them.
I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does.
It's one of those things that's like eventually you lose the ability to play these old formats.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, Mission Impossible, available on Laserdisc and available on Betamax. So check it out. Or you can also watch it on Paramount Plus. Check it out. Let us know what you think. And now we're going to move forward in time quite a bit here with the next film that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah. How long after is it? It's like over 10 years later.
I think 10, at least 10.
It was 7 years between 2 and 3. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So this is 2011. Ghost Protocol comes out 15 years later. Yeah. I mean, I watched them all in 2 months. So felt like it. The only way you could tell the difference was seeing Tom Cruise age very slightly.
Yeah.
Movie, and have slightly different haircuts.
Right.
All right. Well, our second movie is the fourth installment in the Mission Impossible franchise, Ghost Protocol. And Ghost Protocol opens 5 years after the events of the last film, Mission Impossible 3. Our charismatic, daring, and practically infallible hero, Ethan Hunt, is locked up in a Russian prison for undisclosed reasons. His IMF pal Benji helps break him out, along with the help of a new agent, Jane Carter. Their mission, which they choose to accept, is to find a man with the code name Cobalt, who wants to steal nuclear launch codes from the Kremlin. They try to intercept him in a fun and exciting sequence, which ultimately ends with Cobalt blowing up part of the Kremlin, and Ethan's team is blamed for it. Ethan meets with the IMF secretary and agent William Brandt. They tell him that because of the explosion, the CIA has disavowed the entire IMF, and Ethan's team will now be operating under Ghost Protocol.
That's the name of the movie, too.
Go figure. They have no government support, but still need to complete the mission and stop Cobalt from launching nuclear weapons. The secretary is suddenly shot, and Agent Brandt ends up joining Ethan's team. The team infiltrates a meeting between Cobalt and assassin Sabine Moreau in the tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa in Dubai. In order to infiltrate the meeting, Ethan has to break into a server room over 100 stories above the ground. No big deal. This is possibly the most impressive stunt in the whole series, in my opinion. Although Ethan successfully breaks into the server room, the infiltration goes awry, and Ethan and Cobalt engage in a thrilling car chase through the streets of Dubai during a sandstorm. Another crazy and fun sequence. Soon, the team is in Mumbai, where Cobalt will use a broadcast satellite to launch a nuke from a Russian submarine aimed at San Francisco. Cobalt successfully launches the nuke, and the team has 15 minutes to redirect it before it destroys San Francisco. Cobalt flees, carrying a briefcase that can shut down the bomb. Ethan chases him into an insane automated parking garage, which is basically like a giant CarMax vending machine. They engage in one of the more creative fight sequences I've ever seen, ending with Ethan killing Cobalt and successfully disarming the bomb, and exclaiming, "Mission accomplished!" Yes,
I forgot about that.
He does say that. Thankfully, there are no witnesses besides the film audience to make fun of him. The team celebrates in Seattle, and Ethan catches a glimpse of his ex-wife, Julia. I did leave out several plot points and entire fight sequences, but I think that more or less sums it up. The cast includes Tom Cruise back as Ethan Hunt, Ving Rhames as Luther, Simon Pegg as Benji, Paula Patton as Carter, Jeremy Renner as Brandt, Leah Seydoux as Moreau, and some quick, nice cameos by Tom Wilkinson and my boy, Josh Holloway. Yeah, I mean, Ghost Protocol. What don't you love about it?
Yeah, honestly. Well, I love that you shouted out Josh Holloway because he was one of my early crushes in my life in Lost. So yeah, when I saw him for 5 seconds in this movie, I was really, really happy for those 5 seconds. I love this one. I can't decide if this is my favorite or the first is my favorite. They're kind of tied solely because they're so different. Obviously, in style, and then also like so much has happened in the franchise since then. But I mean, you know, earlier I was talking about the disavowed rogue agent narrative, and this is that to the max. So yeah, as soon as they announced Ghost Protocol, I was like, yep, here we go, best movie, I'm ready.
Yeah, I agree. Although they still have a lot of gadgets. So I don't know how they get all the gadgets, even though they have no government support.
Right. No safe house, nothing. But
it's like goddamn public school teachers can't even get enough public funding for, you know, new expo markers. But somehow these guys, when they're disavowed, they still have all this money to have all this crazy tech.
Yeah.
I really like this one. It was my favorite until another one that we're going to be talking about later that I saw, but this one is really, really strong. Ghost Prots, as the fans call it.
At least one fan,
or at least one. But yeah, this is also kind of the beginning of like a lot of the villains having there's like a consistent hypothesis that kind of happens from like starting with this movie, that it's just like you got to like destroy the world before you rebuild it. You know, that's kind of like the universal idea of the villains throughout the series, starting around here. And, you know, aren't we there now? Like, I mean, like how much worse does shit gotta get? Really?
These movies were a little too close to home right now.
Right. Well, and the 7th and 8th deal with an AI villain. So it's not even like a human, which I think the movie struggles with. But as far as modern day dilemmas, I think we can all relate.
Yeah. Pertinent.
Yes.
Pertinent tale. But yeah, I really dug it. The infiltrating and blowing up the Kremlin early on is a great sequence. Mm-hmm. And, you know, of course, Ethan stepping out and shedding the disguise and ripping off his jacket. And he's got a Bruce Springsteen Born in the USA t-shirt, which is just wonderful.
I love that too. I think I cheered for the shirt.
I love it.
It was perfect. Also, I think this is my favorite hairdo on Ethan.
Yes.
To say he's looking good.
Agreed.
You don't like the hairdo, the long hairdo in MI2?
Oh, I am all about Tom Cruise with longer hair in general. I love the MI2. This is the perfect medium.
Right.
I mean, I also think like the opening, it's not even technically the opening sequence of the film, but the opening with Carter and Benji breaking him out of the prison is just so much fun.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know why he's in there, but we assume he probably doesn't deserve to be. But yeah, they put on the Dean Martin song, Ain't That a Kick in the Head? And he has to like get out before the end of the song. And they're like tripping all the doors open and releasing all the prisoners to like create a diversion so they can escape. It was just so fun and thrilling and such a great reintroduction to the character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And really kicked off one of the more impressive stunt heavy films of the franchise. Like,
oh yeah,
scaling the tallest building in the world is just absolutely insane.
It's insane. Yeah. Earlier, right before this episode, I sat Jonathan down with, we have a friend visiting, Elijah, and I was like, we have to watch this video of every stunt that Tom Cruise has ever done, because they wouldn't believe me. They were like, it's CGI, Bella. It's like, I understand that there's CGI involved in this, but you got to see what I'm seeing. We watched a great video of like all the behind the scenes stuff, and they could not believe it. They were like, what is wrong with this man? Like, he's literally risking his life in every single movie, and it gets the stakes get higher every single time. It's like unfathomable, honestly.
Yeah, truly is. I actually just found out that there's an exhibit in New York that's up until December at the Museum of the Moving Picture, which Nick and I will have to go to because we will be in New York
that museum
this year. And it's all about Mission Impossible. And they have like behind the scenes making of for every major stunt in the whole franchise.
Oh
and I was
my
like,
God.
oh, I'd be sitting there for hours just watching.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
In fact, when we went to see this at Paramount, they did like a featurette before each movie of like one of the major stunts. So this one was the featurette of the Burj Khalifa climb. And you're just like, I mean, I'm like sweating watching the behind the scenes.
Yeah, my palms are sweating just talking about it right now. I hate heights as well. So this was a big one for me.
Yeah. And Brad Bird's making it. And he's like, you know, he's made amazing Pixar films, but he's like, yeah, I'm literally at the top of the tallest building in the world. And my star and kind of boss is just out there hanging in the wind. You're like, oh God, it's crazy. And in that sequence, like the stakes keep getting upped. It's like, okay, you have to climb this thing to get into this server room. That's horrifying enough. And you're going to do it with these like sticky palm computer gloves. And remember, they're like, blue is good and red is dead. Yep. And then partway through, one of the gloves stops working. And then there's this whole kind of like comedic moment where like he throws it off and then it starts working again and it sticks to the window. And he's like, oh, maybe I should grab it.
What the hell is that? Yeah, what the hell is that?
It's a sandstorm. That's a long way off, Ethan.
Shouldn't be a problem. 24 minutes to door knock.
Where's Ethan? You gotta be kidding me.
And then he gets to the window and he has to figure out how to like break it open without like flying back. And that was the part that really just made me feel sick.
Yeah.
And then he still has to get back into the room of his hotel, several, floors down, but he doesn't have the sticky gloves at all anymore. So he like grabs like some like cable from the server room, but it's not long enough. And he almost falls down the building and everyone's like hanging, like grabbing each other's legs, hanging out the window. It's horrifying.
It's horrifying. Yeah. My palms are literally sweating right now. I can't believe it. Just talking about it.
And then, the classic, like great comedy of the thing is Benji comes in after they've pulled him in the window and he's like, I succeeded at relabeling all the hotel room numbers. And he's like so proud of himself.
Like, well, that wasn't easy.
I'm so happy Simon Pegg is in these movies. I had no idea. And Benji is just one of my favorites. So, the comedic relief that is very necessary, like in those moments.
He's so essential to the success and joy of these movies. And, I think he was really only known for Edgar Wright movies before this.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like,
I think that's still what he's only known for, this and Edgar Wright movies, really.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, he's so wonderful. And he's actually probably the character that like changes the most throughout. He's like just a basic computer guy stuck in the office the first time we meet him in the third film. By Fallout, he's a full-fledged member of the team doing all kinds of crazy things.
Yeah.
And then, wait till you see Final Reckoning. Ooh-wee. Maybe he's going to be the new Ethan Hunt.
Oh,
the
snap.
face of the franchise. I don't
oh my
think that's gonna
god,
happen.
that would be hilarious.
Yeah, very different movie.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's going to be the face of the franchise as long as Tom Cruise is alive.
I don't think anybody could be. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they love to ruin things in Hollywood.
They do love to ruin things.
hope-
They do be ruining things. But who's got balls big enough to do the stunts that Tom Cruise does? You know, Jackie Chan, who's too old, and then end of list.
Yeah. Although I'm getting ahead of myself, but Henry Cavill was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
In the later film that he's in. He did a lot of those stunts right along with Tom.
The Carvana scene, the climax fight scene in the Carvana garage. I mean, that looks the stuff that they're doing in that looks so painful. Like, my God. Like, I was like, oh, ow. Like, they're beating the holy shit out of each other. And then it just ends with Tom Cruise literally driving a car off of a platform and driving it straight into the ground. Like, you know, obviously that scene was not him in that car, I don't think, but just
it wasn't in the video.
Yeah, but just the concept and the execution of this fight scene make it like you feel this shit. It sucks what they do to each other.
Yeah, there's one part where he like jumps down onto a car but kind of misses and like smacks his head, and the sound of it is just like, oh, it sounds gnarly.
Well, that's one of those things where, like, did he really mean to not land on the car?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like, it looked real. I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I don't know if you guys have ever tried or ever stood on cars, but it's not like easy, much less doing a fight scene on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I ever have stood on a car. Certainly never fought on one.
Yeah. I can't say I have.
Yeah, no, that scene is incredible. You're just like, and you're keeping like, how are they going to top themselves? Like, he climbed that building. Like, it's not going to get cooler than that. And I don't know if it gets cooler than that, but even like the fight in the sandstorm when they're outside of the building in Dubai, I mean, it's thrilling.
Yeah. Well, and it's brilliantly set up because you see it coming through the reflection when he's already invested in this climb.
Yeah.
And you're like, that looks really bad, and that's going to be a big deal later. And the payoff is so good.
Right. Yeah, and you forget about it because like so much other intense stuff's happening, and there's like, oh shit, right, the sandstorm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
And Leah Seydoux gets thrown out of a window.
Oh, I love her.
R.I.P. Yeah.
She was great in this. Honestly, I would say I felt like she was a little bit underutilized. Like, I almost wanted to see more of her because she's scary. Like, she didn't even, I mean, that's why she's so good in this too. Like, I get it. She didn't even have to say much, and you're still like, that is such a menacing human being. So it's definitely effective, but I just love her. So I would always be down to see more.
Yeah. Yeah. She was ice cold in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then she gets like all these diamonds and just like sprinkles them into her Prada bag.
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah.
So iconic.
But then she had to go be Bond's wife in the Daniel Craig series, or girlfriend. I don't know. But yeah.
Sonja, you have, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have 3 letterboxed reviews for Mission Impossible Ghost Protes.
I do.
www.letterboxd.com. 1 star. 2 stars. 3 stars. 4 stars. 5 stars.
And our first review is from Sophie. Tom Cruise. Hey, dare me to climb the tallest building in the world? Me. Well, no. Tom Cruise putting his shoes on. I can't believe you're making me do this. Me. Tom, no, please stop. Tom Cruise beginning to climb. You're so stupid.
Oh, that's great.
I don't know. Yes, I appreciated that one. Our second one is from Matt Singer, who Nick and I both follow, wonderful film critic. He says, my 9-year-old's thoughts on her first Mission Impossible. This is like Spy Kids for adults. It's spy adults.
Accurate.
At Tom Cruise's introduction in a tank top, he has lots of muscles. During the Kremlin break-in, this is tense. Why would anyone drive during a sandstorm? That makes no sense. This is the craziest parking garage ever. Wait, what happened to his wife? Final verdict. She loved it and is begging to watch another one right now.
Oh, that is so cute.
My favorite review.
Oh.
And our last one is from someone named Man Kisses. The sexual chemistry between Tom Cruise and Jeremy Renner kept me pointy for 133 minutes straight.
Oh my God. Pointy.
Yeah. All true reviews.
Yeah, those are
I
all.
couldn't have said it better myself.
Those are all great reviews.
Yeah, seriously.
Give me 3 Letterboxd reviews for Ghost Protocol. And since we're talking about Letterboxd, which, by the way, is not a sponsor, but if anybody from Letterboxd is listening, we'd be happy to sponsor you, or vice versa. They do this thing where if you leave a review, I don't know if it's all the time, but definitely right now, if you leave a review on a Mission Impossible film, some prompt comes up and, you know, it's very creative. There's like a...
Yes, it says, your mission has been compromised.
Right.
And then it gives you a mission.
Mm-hmm. I gotta go do that.
We got so excited when we were leaving the theater, the first one.
Yeah, I was like, oh, my letterbox is busted. Oh, wait a second. or is it? Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol available on not Betamax, not Laserdisc, but it is available on Paramount Plus, along with all of the Mission Impossible films. So check that out and let us know what you think of all of Tom Cruise's muscles.
And medium length hair.
And medium length hair.
Yes, of course.
All right, the final film that we are discussing on today's episode is Mission Impossible Fallout, which is the 6th installment to the Mission Impossible franchise. It's written and directed by Christopher McQuarrie. And what we missed in Mission Impossible 5, Rogue Nation, I think is worth just touching on briefly, because 5 and 6 are kind of like the first ones where it's like, oh, this like leads directly into what's happening into the next one. So in Mission Impossible 5, Rogue Nation, we introduced an important character, Ilsa, who's a British intelligence officer. She's kind of like the Ethan Hunt of the UK, if you will. And then we also introduced a new mastermind villain, Solomon Lane, who starts a rogue nation of former intelligence officers who are over their systems and tired of being screwed over by their governments. So, you know, earlier we were talking about Ethan Hunt constantly getting screwed over, and it's like, why does he keep coming back? Well, other intelligence officers were like, why do I keep coming back? It's time to fight back, fight the power, you know? So the Rogue Nation used their skills for bad. This is how we know that they're the bad guys, because, bad is bad and good is good. And spoiler alert, it works out for old Ethan Hunt and the gang in that one. So, which brings us to Mission Impossible Fallout. And you see, this is the fallout from Rogue Nation. So the Rogue Nation hasn't completely gone away, and now they're operating under a new name, the Apostles. And they've got this new client, an extremist named John Lark, sorry. The damn, what's called autocorrect, which is a better name than John Clark. John Clark, this guy has a manifesto, and it says, there's never been peace without great suffering. Once again, going back to what we were talking about earlier. And once again, I ask, how much suffering we got to have, for God's sakes? So what's at stake is these plutonium spheres, which are going to help launch 3 nuclear weapons. So once again, we got high stakes. Nuclear war is at the helm. And after screwing up the acquisition of this plutonium, because Ethan chose to save his friend Luther's life rather than take the plutonium and run, it is once in the hands, again, of some bad hombres. So they got to get some plutonium through this broker, the White Widow, played by Vanessa Kirby, who happens to be the daughter of Max, the villain that we saw in the first Mission Impossible film. But because Ethan screwed up the whole plutonium acquisition, he's now going to have a little CIA babysitter with him. That is August Walker, played by Henry Cavill, a name that I've never gotten used to saying. Together, they go to this widow's party in France. They end up killing this John Lark character in a very exciting bathroom fight sequence. And Ethan is supposed to pose as this guy, but of course their computer where they make the fake faces is got all busted up. So he's just got to walk in there, raw dog it, as they say.
You can't possibly be John Lark.
I'm not, actually. It's an alias.
I suppose it's better than John Doe. Is there another name you prefer?
Is there someone we could talk privately?
In fact, I like Lark. It's of a certain ring.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of time.
See, I'll be honest with you, a man of your reputation, I was expecting someone uglier.
And don't let looks deceive. Because I'm as ugly as they come. Now, I'll be honest with you. Your life is in danger.
Don't you touch her.
Relax. It's my brother. Being rude to our guests, Zola.
It's time to go.
Don't turn this into a scene.
You don't want to be with this one?
You were saying?
Your life is in danger.
And who would want to kill me?
The Americans, for starters.
If that were true, I would know it.
Do you think you're the only one with spies in the government? So there are people here who don't want this meeting to happen. Don't believe me? Look around. I know what you're thinking. Maybe they're not here for you. Maybe they're just here for me. Are you willing to take that chance? You have something I want. Right now, that makes me the only person you can trust to get you out of here alive. Or would you rather leave that to your brother?
I think I'd like to go home now, Mr. Lark.
But the widow wants more than just money in this exchange for plutonium. They want a certain criminal broken out of custody, a certain prisoner that's going to be moved through a high security truck move the very next day. Who else but Solomon Lane? And so the widow's plans to pull Solomon Lane from custody involves, killing a lot of cops, which of course wouldn't be a problem for John Lark, but it's a little bit of a problem for Ethan Hunt because he is what? Good guy. So Ethan executes a different plan to get Solomon out. He kills no cops, but we see the return of Ilsa because she has been sent to assassinate Solomon Lane as well. So from here on out, we get an insane sequence of twists and turns and betrayals, like really a lot of twists and turns in like a 40-minute time span, including
a lot of cars twisting and turning.
Yeah, cars twisting
Paris.
and turning, helicopters twisting and turning. We got August, Henry Cavill's character. Turns out he's working with Solomon Lane, and the widow is actually working with the CIA. And of course, we get a thrilling, pulse-pounding finale with some incredibly high stakes. And even more surprising are the emotional stakes and the emotional closure that this film delivers. Mission Impossible Fallout. You know what? This movie's got something to say, I think, and that's bad guys bad, good guys good. That's my kind of like my whole summation.
Profound.
It's my whole summation of the whole Mission Impossible series, really. Goodies versus baddies.
Yeah, it is very dichotomous.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't a lot of gray area.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. That's what I like.
Although maybe the White Widow would be the gray area.
Right.
Yeah.
Although she's white, so I guess it's good. More good than bad. I don't know.
Depends on who you ask. History might have a different opinion of that. Okay, what do we think of Fallout?
I mean, okay, so at this point, I had started just watching all of them because I got too excited and I was like, I don't want to watch a recap. I'm just going to watch them. So they blend a little bit for me, but just 5 and 6, I guess, because like you said, they kind of are like a part 1, part 2 in a sense. This one is just epic. That's kind of the only word that comes to mind. I love the addition of Henry Cavill. I think he was great in this. And I loved the settings in this one, like the mountains, the snowy mountains, and with the helicopter chase. And I loved that this one brought so many of the characters that we've seen throughout from the very beginning together in like unexpected ways, like characters that you wouldn't expect to see again or like in the same room. Yeah, this felt like a culmination of everything.
Yeah, I think if this one had ended with him getting together with Ilsa, it could have been a completely satisfying finale for the entire series.
Yeah,
100%,
really.
100%. And I love Ilsa. Like, I think she's my favorite character. And I've said that about like 3 different people at this point. But as we, it's chronological as we go on. I'm like, oh, now they're topping this one. She's just incredible. I mean, Rebecca Ferguson is just fucking amazing and was born to play this character.
And even though we're not talking about Rogue Nation, like her introduction to the franchise in Rogue Nation is just so strong. Like her first 2 scenes, she's like breaks Ethan out of custody secretly because she's, a double agent. Right. And she's like barefoot and just kicking the crap out of everybody. And like, you have no idea like what her motivations are. She's so mysterious. And then the next scene where she's at the opera. Yeah, it's just, and she's like doing all this crazy badass spy shit in this like really like sexy yellow dress.
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome.
She's amazing. Yeah. I also wanted to point out, since we're not talking about 3, in 3, Ethan gets married to Julia, who's played by Michelle Moynihan. And that's kind of like the central relationship of that film. But we learn in 4 that he had to basically help her go off the grid and like get a new identity because being married to him was putting her in too much danger. And he wasn't able to give up his job and go off with her, which is important since she comes back at the end of this film in a very, really heartwarming and great send-off to that relationship and that character.
Yeah, I was glad we got to see her again because I really loved her character and the relationship they had and getting closure. Like we never got, for 3 movies, we didn't have closure really. It was just like in whispers on the wind, like what really went down between them. So seeing them together again in completely different stages of their lives was touching, honestly.
Yeah, it was touching. Yeah,
and you learn that she's happy how she is,
right? Right.
Like, yeah, she's not married to him anymore, but that's probably for the best.
It's probably for the best, and and you could tell like that Ethan's happy that she's happy.
Yeah,
that it's not a selfish thing. It's just like, okay, thank God, like that was what he needed to hear.
Yeah.
And her husband, played by Wes Bentley, and just so dorky. So lovably dorky. I did write down, we're really jumping ahead, so we'll go back. But the sequence we're talking about is his ex-wife Julia is a doctor with her new husband, played by Wes Bentley. And Tom Cruise shows up in the camp that they're in where they're vaccinating people for smallpox. And he doesn't know she's going to be there. So he's shocked. She's shocked. And they're trying to pretend like they don't have this relationship. And so he says that he's a traveling doctor that was just passing through the mountains of Kashmir for some reason. And I just wrote down, Tom Cruise does not look like a doctor.
No.
I was like, nobody believes this.
Nope. Yeah, agreed.
Isn't he is he a doctor in Eyes Wide Shut? Is that like his profession?
Yes. And do you believe it in that either?
Yeah, probably not. Yeah.
No.
He doesn't look like a doctor.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tom. You can be a lot of things.
Right.
Not a doctor.
Yeah, I bet you Tom Cruise has excellent penmanship.
Yeah, probably. He does seem very precise. But I think the first thing to talk about, which is like probably the scariest stunt that he's done as far as like what I imagine he experienced, which is the jump out of the airplane when they're going to land on top of the Palais in Paris. I forget, it's called a halo jump. I forget what halo stands for. He had to jump out and like not release I think he released his parachute like under 2,000 feet above the ground. I mean, just like terrifying. Like the thing that he has on his face is something he actually like needed to breathe. And I think Henry Cavill may have done it also, but didn't have to wait so long to release his parachute. But that's another one where you watch the making of and you're like, the movie almost doesn't do it justice because they had to add the fake storm. So it kind of looks fake.
Yeah. CGI made it worse.
Yeah. I mean, just as far as like a real thing to do, insane. And the amount of like preparation that it took.
I hadn't thought about the fact there are stunt camera operators. Like seeing that guy in the air with him, I was just like, Jesus Christ, man. You guys are crazy. You guys are absolutely insane.
Yeah, good point. The camera person had to pull their shoot even after Tom Cruise did.
Yeah, like, why are we talking about this guy? Who is he?
Yeah. And they had to shoot it at magic hour because pretty. So they could only I think they did like 3 jumps a day for like several days in a row.
That is nuts.
Yeah, I think he jumped 100 times total, like in the course of them filming that scene.
I just looked up what Halo jumps stands for. It stands for hey asshole, land on ground.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
I thought you were going to tell us what it really stood for.
I don't know. This is what Google says. You can't trust Google these days, so don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me.
It's something like high altitude,
low opening.
There you go.
Well, that's not as fun.
And then we have the helicopter stunt as well, where he learned how to fly a helicopter and do just casual. And I'm blanking on the term for the stunt in the helicopter that he did, but it's like a torpedo kind of thing.
Right.
Like a spinning nosedive.
Right.
Which I guess most helicopter pilots are like, yeah, that's not something I would really want to do. Very difficult. And I just can't believe this man is just like, he's yes man. He's like, yeah, I want to do that for sure. Teach me how and I'll do it. I mean, that scene is I want to go see that one in theaters just for that scene alone. I mean, good God, I can't even imagine what the spectacle that is.
It was so tense. Like the only thing I could compare it to was watching Free Solo. I don't think I've been that stressed out.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It was so intense. Like I watched it with like 6 people, and we all came out of the theater just like high on adrenaline. I think maybe Tom Cruise is at the point in his life where he's like, I'm an actor so that people have to pay for me to get all this training so I can just have all these skills. What do I want to learn how to do?
Right.
Literally.
I want to learn how to jump off a cliff on a motorcycle and base jump.
Sure.
Well, this one, he actually broke his foot in this film. Is that right?
During the like running scene
in the sequence where he's running, basically he's going after Henry Cavill's character, and it's one of those classic chase sequences where they're tracking the character, and Benny's like, he's to your left, no, he's to your right, he's 3 miles ahead, you got to run faster, and all this kind of stuff, which is like tracking him on the computer. But Ethan is like elevated. He's in the top of buildings instead of on the ground, and Betty doesn't know. So he's jumping from building to building. Go left. He jumps to the left,
Ethan, did you copy? Left, go left now. I'm working on it. Okay, now go across the street right in front of you. Ethan, he's getting away from you. You're going to have to go faster.
Right? Now?
Yes, right.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm... No, it's left. Turn left. Sorry, I had the screen lock on.
Left. Thank you.
What are you waiting for?
I'm jumping out a window!
What do you mean you're jumping out of a... Oh, sorry, I had it in 2D. Good luck.
But one of those jumps, Tom Cruise broke his foot, which is actually, I think, how Jackie Chan broke his foot doing one of those crazy jumps also. I think he broke his foot doing a jump from a window to a fire escape in Rumble in the Bronx and broke his foot. I think it was Rumble in the Bronx, but
definitely comes with the territory.
Yeah.
But yeah, they used the shot where he breaks his foot because he was supposed to make the landing on the building, but the part where he like slips and grabs the building is when he actually didn't make it, but then keeps running because apparently he was like, I don't want to film this again. So he like finished the sequence and then they had to take like 2 months off while he healed.
Oh God. That makes sense because it looks real. Like when he misses, you're like, oh God, that looked really bad. How did they do that? And now we know.
With pain.
Yep.
Pain and torture.
Wild stunts. And yeah, just like some really cool dynamics in this one. Like Vanessa Kirby is awesome. Two villains better than one in this one with Henry Cavill and Solomon Lane. Sean Harris is the actor who plays Solomon Lane. When Henry Cavill's introduced, it's like you don't really trust him, but it's kind of fun to watch them paired together because in so many of the movies, Ethan Hunt's working with people that he knows and trusts. And when they start working together, they have such different dynamics and different approaches. So it's kind of fun to watch him work with somebody who he's like totally not on the same page with, and that they have totally different approaches to their gig. I figured he was going to become a bad guy, but while he was on the good guy side for the first half, it was just a breath of fresh air to have a different dynamic.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know. It got me like, I was like, this guy's obviously a bad guy. And then I'm like, no, maybe he just has less principles than Ethan, but he has the same, good intention overall.
Right. Right.
And then, nope, he's bad.
Well, you know what the way to tell in a Mission Impossible movie is bad guys bad, good guys good.
Oh, thank you for breaking that down.
I thought you were going to say like bad guy mustache, good guy no mustache.
Hey, that's good too. Yeah.
I do love the scene because they set this up in Ghost Protocol where Benji like pitches this whole plan of how they're going to break into something. And then it's like, oh no. And he like wants to wear the mask. Like he wants to get a face mask made, but it doesn't end up working out. And so in this one, it has the payoff of him getting to wear the mask of Solomon Lane to like entrap Henry Cavill's character, the real John Lark. And he like gets to take it off and say a good line. And you're just like, yeah, Benji, look at you go. You're growing up so fast right in front of us, right before our eyes.
He is like the little brother of the series.
Yeah, totally. So that's, I mean, I think Solomon Lane is by far the best villain of the series. And then, yes, combined with Henry Cavill, who's working with him, but also clearly has his own kind of motives as well. It is the first time where you're like, oh, it's not just the threat of nuclear war. It's like, these are real adversaries that you want them to be able to beat. I guess the closest other one would be Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah.
In part 3. But it just doesn't deliver on the same scale as this film does in any way.
So on this one, Sonja, you do have another 3 pieces of trivia. Is that correct? For Fallout?
I do. Although we touched on them a little bit. But yes, I do have 3 pieces. It's okay. I'll give you some more details.
I want to play a game.
Yes, 3 pieces of trivia for Mission Impossible Fallout. Cruise performed over 100 Halo jumps, resulting in only 3 usable takes.
Wow.
For the sequence where he rescues his teammate. The Halo skydiving sequence, which is a distance of 25,000 feet, traveling at a speed of 320 kilometers per hour. Why we measure in feet and kilometers in the same sentence, I don't know, but I didn't write the trivia. Anyway, at 25,000 feet, 320 kilometers per hour, was the last sequence filmed during production. Because Tom could have died.
Yeah, right. That's just in case.
Jesus.
And I was actually wrong. They didn't do 3 jumps a day. They had 3 minutes a day to film the jump because they wanted the perfect magic hour. So I'm doing the math, guessing they filmed it over 100 days if they only did 1 jump a day.
That is. I'm sorry. That's a waste. That is a waste of money. I'm sorry.
I was just thinking how much money that cost.
I know. I could have gotten a raise.
Yeah.
Come on, Paramount. But hey, we're still talking about it today. And, you know, if Tom gets his way, people will be talking about this for generations because it will be one of the only major action films that isn't relying on green screen for all this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll stand the test of time. So the bathroom fight was meant to be shot in 4 days, but due to the complexity of the fight, it ended up being shot over several weeks.
Holy.
Whoa.
Yes. So more money. Cha-ching,
money,
cha-ching,
money,
cha-ching.
money.
And as we talked about, when Tom Cruise is hanging from a helicopter in the climax, that's really him, really hanging from a helicopter that's taking off from the ground. He also gets to pilot the helicopter himself. He took pilot lessons for the occasion, which took 2 years and over 1,000 flight hours.
Wow.
So he is a certified pilot now. And as an aside, because I just went to a Q&A before the screening of the new movie, apparently he would pick up cast members from set and helicopter them to his estate, his compound, while they were filming and like have dinner with them and stuff.
Oh my God.
So just imagine you're filming the last Mission Impossible movie. You're in Norway on a fjord. It's beautiful. And then Tom Cruise just shows up in his helicopter and he's like, do you want to have dinner? And you're like, no, I heard you're weird.
Yeah. Right. I don't want to join Scientology, Tom, for the last time. Mission Impossible Fallout. You can see it at the Scientology Center every day. They play it there actually at noon. Or you can check it out on Paramount Plus.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I really think it's a shame that they didn't re-release all of them in theater like the week or two before this one came out. I think that that's a missed opportunity. And if I worked at Paramount, I would say something.
I agree. You should. I
agree.
You should email the bosses, babe. Let them know.
I should have. Because seeing them in the theater just, I mean, it's how they're meant to be seen. And it was so exciting and so emotional, so everything, like all the feels, all the thrills. It makes you be like, I got to see this last one. Like, I have to experience it in its glory in IMAX or whatever.
Well, the new one is playing now on the big screen, so you can see that one on the big screen, and it's playing in IMAX. It's playing on the big screen. Pretty much, I'm sure wherever you are in the country, it's out there. It is as wide releases get. So check that out. Let us know what you think. Check out these 3 films. Let us know what you think, and let us know what your favorite 3 of the Mission Impossible films are.
Which is the best hair?
Which has the best hair?
Crew cut, long and luxurious, in the middle.
Hey, a lot of options. At least 8, right?
At least.
But always.
And this is the final movie, right?
Is it?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they wanted it to be, but they might be in a position where they are not going to end up having it be the case.
Yeah. The Final Reckoning 2, Electric Boogaloo.
I'm just pissed that they... Spoiler alert. Sorry.
We'll cut that out. They don't call her Spoiler Mereu for nothing.
That was great. Well, that's a wrap, y'all, on the Mission Impossible mini marathon. These were 3 fantastic picks, Sonja. Thank you for setting us up. Felt like we were tracking the evolution of a franchise in real time. I feel like you picked the perfect points for each one, and each one just pushes harder, climbs higher, and Tom Cruise just outdoes himself every time. So yeah, let us know what you guys think. We want to know your favorite Mission Impossible films. You can let us know. Scroll down to the episode description, hit the send us a text link, or you can reach us on Instagram at Gimme3Podcast. That's GIMME, spell out 3 podcast. And if you want to support the show even more, here are 2 quick ways that actually go a long way. 1, set our episodes to auto download on Spotify. It's super easy. Just tap the settings gear, toggle it on, and you're good to go. You can listen to us anywhere, anytime. 2, we also have a Patreon for just $5 a month. We get bonus episodes, exclusive content. We've got these fun spoiler-free episodes where each of us pick 3 movies from our monthly watch list, and we kind of pitch them to each other, to you guys. We have Sonja on a bunch of those episodes. You can find the link to subscribe in the episode description below as well. Sonja, do you want to tell everyone where they can find you on the social Letterboxd?
I'm on Letterboxd at Sonja M, SONJAM, and you can see all the Tom Cruise movies that I have watched this year.
Love it. Nick, how about you?
You can find me on Letterboxd, on Instagram, or on Blue Sky at Nicholas Ibarra. Ibarra is spelled with a Y.
And you guys can find me on Instagram at Portrait of a Cinephile or on Letterboxd at BF Stratus. Thanks again for joining us on the Gimme 3 podcast, and we will see you at the movies.